Hello everyone, I'm Mandy. In this presentation, our topic is analysis and forecasting of global energy consumption trends from 2000 to 2024. Our goal is to understanding how energy use has changed over time, why it has changed, and what this means for the future. I will first give a short overview of the study and then introduce our main research objective. Our project uses secondary data from a cargo dataset covering the year 2000 to 2024. We analyze global energy consumption, compare different energy sources, and study how energy use is related to other indicators, such as economic growth and population. To do this, we follow four main steps. We use descriptive statistics to show basic patterns and trends. We use statistical inference to test whether these patterns are meaningful. We run correlation analysis to see how energy use moves together with other factors. Finally, we built a forecasting model to predict future energy demand. This step helped us move from simple description to deeper understanding and then to prediction. Now, I will briefly introduce the background and our objectives. In recent decades, global energy demand has increased because of population growth, industrial development, and changes in policy and technology. Understanding these trends is important for long-term planning, especially for sustainability and climate goals. Based on this, we set four key objectives. 1. Describe global energy consumption trends between 2000 and 2024. 2. Compare the use of different energy sources, including fossil fuels and renewables. 3. Identify the main factors that drive changes in energy demand. 4. Forecast future energy consumptions using time series models. Next, I will hand over to my teammates who will continue with the data analysis and discuss our main findings in more details.
Hi, thank you for your time to listen for this presentation. Before we kickstart, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Jimmy, and today I will walk through more on the dataset description. So, in terms of the overview, it is a dataset capturing global energy trends over a 24 years period from the year 2000 to 2024. And this data provides a macro level perspective on how energy consumption patterns have evolved globally. The type of data is a secondary data, where quantitative nature involving continuous numerous variables suitable for statistical analysis. So the key variables includes the total energy consumption, the energy consumption by source, year, and measurement units. Next, I would like to talk more about the data preparations. Here, before the analysis, the raw dataset underwent a vigorous cleaning and preparation process to ensure that all of the data quality, consistency, and reliability for statistical inference and forecasting model. So here we will conduct three steps. First is data cleaning, missing values, and handling outliers. So let's focus on the data cleaning, where we will check all the dataset completeness and structure, and we verified the consistency across the year from the year 2000 to year 2024, and we standardized variable names and units. On the missing value, over to the next step, which we identify gaps using summary statistics, apply mean interpolation for random gaps, and use forward filing for the time series continuity. Last step, on the handling outliers, we conduct a detection via box plot and z-score, and we distinguish between errors and valid extremes and retain values reflecting to the real-life energy stocks. That's all from my side. Passing on to my next teammate. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and good evening. My name is Ashraf. I will be presenting on descriptive statistics, where we will be focusing on numerical measures that summarize global energy trends from 2000 to 2004. The key statistical metric used are mean, median, minimum, maximum, as well as standard deviation. Mean gives the overall average level of energy consumption, so we can see the general baseline across the years. Median shows the middle value, which is useful because it's more robust and less affected by extreme values. Minimum and maximum provide the boundaries of the data, showing the lowest and highest points observed, while standard deviation tells us how spread out the values are or how much variability exists in energy demand. Based on primary observation, it could be seen that there are high variability where large standard deviations suggest that energy consumption patterns differs widely across observations, reflecting diverse energy profiles. Secondly, global inequality where there is large gap between minimum and maximum values. This indicates a strong imbalance where some countries or years consume far more energy than others. Let's dive in further. This dataset contains 250 observations with no missing values, so the summary is complete and reliable for interpretation. For the first central tendency, the means are very close to the medians across all variables. This suggests the data is stable and not strongly influenced by extreme outliers. Next, for distribution shape, the skewness values are close to zero and the kurtosis value are also near zero. In simple terms, most variables are fairly balanced and do not show unusually sharp peaks or heavy tails, so distributions look generally well behaved. For variability, we see a clear split. Variables like carbon emission, per capita energy use, total energy consumption, and the energy price index shows higher variation across the observation. Meanwhile, the percentage-based indicators, fossil fuel dependency, household energy use, industrial energy use, and renewable share are more consistent. Finally, looking at the average mix snapshot based on averages, the renewable share mean is 47.30%, range from 37 to 60, while fossil fuel dependency is 44.92%, range from 35 to 55%. Because these averages are fairly close, it suggests many observation falls around a mid-transition energy mix, rather than being extremely fossil heavy or extremely renewable heavy. Overall, this descriptive profile gives us a stable baseline before moving into deeper analysis like correlation or trend comparisons. This line chart shows the overall trend of total global energy consumption from year 2000 to 2024 and average energy use per person from 2000 to 2024. The main insight for total energy consumption is that consumption generally rises into the mid 2010s and peak around 2020, with a clear dip in 2010 and a steady decline again from 2021 to 2024, whereas the key insight for per capita use fluctuates within a relatively stable range, but it dropped sharply in 2010, rebounds to a peak around 2014, and then softened again toward 2024. This box plot summarizes total energy consumption from 2000 to 2024, where each year shows the distribution across countries and the line inside each box represents the median. Overall, the dashed line shows the long run median at about 206K, and most yearly medians sit close to it, meaning the typical level is fairly stable over time. The most noticeable exception is 2010. which has the lowest median at about 164K and clearly stands out as a major drop. After that, the median generally rise, and from around 2013 to 2020, many years are above the long run median, indicating a stronger period. The highest median appears in 2020 at about 234K. From 2021 onwards, the median softens, and by 2024 at 203K, the median is back near the long run benchmark. Finally, the wide spread in each year shows that differences between countries remain large throughout the entire period. This chart compares renewable energy share and fossil fuel dependency from 2000 to 2024. Overall, both measures stays in relatively stable band, with renewables roughly 45 to 50% and fossil dependency around 42 to 47%. So there isn't a dramatic long-term shift from year to year. In most years, the renewable shares is slightly higher than fossil dependency, which suggests a generally balanced mid-transition energy mix rather than extreme reliance on one side. The widest gap appears around 2010 to 2011, where renewable share is near its peak and fossil dependency hits its lowest point. There are also a few years where they become very close or even briefly reverse, such as 2014 and 2019. By 2022 to 2024, renewables strengthens again towards the upper end of the range, while fossil dependency remains in the mid 40s.
Next, we are going to discuss on the next objective, which is statistical inference, whereby we are going to testing the hypothesis on the consumption trends. For this objective, we want to test whether the global energy consumption has changed significantly over different time periods, establishing statistical validity for observed trends. So, how do we are going to carry out this objective? First thing first, we are going to do a normality check. We are going to evaluate them using Shapiro-Wilk test and skewness analysis. And then, based on the outcome from the normality check, if let's say the data is a normal distribution, it means it is an independent sample t-test, whereby we are going to conduct that test. However, if let's say the violation occurs, we are going to proceed with Mann-Whitney U test. And then this is going to be a very non-parametric alternative selected due to potential outliers. This one is depends on the normality check outcome. And then the statistical assumptions that we have for now is that the data points are independent of each other. Second one, the normality of data whereby the distribution should be approximate a bell curve, which can be assessed by histogram and QQ plots. And last but not least, the homogeneity of the variance. Okay, we need to check via Levin's test to ensure that equal variance across the groups. Therefore, for this objective, we are going to follow as a decision framework with alpha 0.05, whereby the hypothesis, we're going to reject the hypothesis. This is for the hypothesis. Next one is the next objective, which is we are going to invoke a correlation analysis whereby we are going to study the variable relationships. So the objective was to systematically examine and quantify the strength of the linear and nonlinear relationships between total energy consumption and individual energy sources, for example, fossil fuels versus renewables. And then the method we are going to use for the parametric one is Pearson correlation, whereby we are going to apply to normally distributed linear data relationship, and then we're going to find the R. Next is if let's say the data is a non-parametric one, then we are going to conduct a Spearman correlation whereby we are going to apply when the data normality violated, assumptions must be a monotonic relationships. Okay, what do we foresee actually is that fossil fuels have a very strong positive correlation based on our results, which is zero R is larger than 0.85 with a total consumptions indicating that they remain the primary driver of the global demand. And for the renewables, we foresee that the moderate positive correlation, approximately 0.65 in recent years, reflecting the growing transition impact. So, whereby in front of you, we have a correlation matrix heat map where it shows that the the strong relationship between between the total energy consumptions with the individual energy sources.
Hi, now I'm presenting the time series forecasting. It's more about the model specification and methods. In this study, we apply time series forecasting techniques, focusing on historical consumption patterns to predict future values. Two models were selected for this analysis. The first one is ARIMA, which stands for Autoregressive Integrated Moving Average. ARIMA is a stochastic model that captures patterns in the data by combining past values, differencing to ensure stationarity and moving average to model random fluctuations. This model is particularly effective in identifying long-term trends and clinical movement in energy consumptions. The second model is ETS or exponential smoothing. ETS is a smoothing-based approach that assigns higher weight to more recent observations while gradually reducing the influence of older data. This makes it suitable for capture gradual trend changes in global energy usage over time. In terms of technical specification, the dependent variable denoted as YT represents total global energy consumption, while the time variable T is measured in years with an annual frequency. The core assumption underlying both models in that historical energy consumption patterns such as trends and long-term cycle contain meaningful information that can be used for forecast future consumption levels. By combining ARIMA and ETS models, this method provides a robust framework for understanding past behavior and predicting future global energy consumption trends. Next, the model is built using a systematic four-stage pipeline which help ensure statistical validity, avoid data leakage, and improve forecasting accuracy. So the first one is data splitting. The data set is divided chronological to respect the nature of time series data. Data from 2000 to 2022 is used as the training set, while 2023 to 2024 is reserved as the test set. An 80/20 split is applied to ensure the model learns only from past information and is evaluated on unseen future data. The second one is stationarity test. Since ARIMA-based models assume stationarity, the data is tested for constant mean and variance over time. This is done by using the augmented Dickey Fuller or ADF test and the KPSS test. If non-stationarity is detected, differencing is applied to make the series suitable for modeling. The third one is parameter estimation. The autocorrelation function ACF and partial autocorrelation function, which is PACF, plots are analyzed to identify potential values for ARIMA parameter, which is for P, D, and Q. A great research approach is the use to systematical test combination and select the most optimal model. Then the final one is model fitting. The selected model is trained on the full training dataset. Model performance is evaluated using AIC, where a lower AIC indicates a better balance between model fit and complexity. Once finalized, the model is ready for forecasting future global energy consumption trends. So this sequence ensure that the forecasting model is both statistically sound and reliable for long-term energy trends prediction.
Continue next is moving to the last chapter, which is chapter 4, which is model validation. So this slide presents the model validation and performance assessment for the forecasting model used in this study. To evaluate the accuracy of the model, 3 standard error metrics were applied, which is the mean absolute error, root mean squared error, and mean absolute percentage error. So mean absolute error basically is to measure the average magnitude of the prediction error without considering their direction, where lower values indicate better accuracy. RMSE, which is root mean squared error, gives greater weight to larger error, making it useful for identifying whether the model produces any significant deviations from the actual values. While the mean absolute percentage error expresses the prediction error as a percentage, which makes the model's accuracy easier to interpret and communicate. So the validation result shows a close alignment between the actual energy consumption values and the forecasted values as illustrated in the chart. So the model successfully captures that the overall trend, including the fluctuations in the validation period, based on the error metrics and the strong agreement between the actual and forecasted data. The model demonstrates the good predictive performance and is therefore suitable for short-term forecasting. As a conclusion from this analysis that shows a statistically significant upward trend in the global energy consumption over the study period, this growth is largely driven by industrialization, economic expansion, and population growth, which continue to increase global energy demand. So the second one is energy mix dynamic. Okay, so the result indicate the fossil fuel remain the dominant energy source globally. However, renewable energy usage has shown a steady and promising increase in recent years, suggesting a gradual shift in the global energy mix. And then number 3 is a statistical evidence. Let me change this. Okay. Statistical evidence, that the inferential statistical evidence or tests, including the t-test, confirm that the changes observed in energy consumption patterns over time are statistically significant. This provides the statistical evidence that the observed trends are not due to random variation. So the fourth one is strong correlation. Strong correlation, the analysis also identified strong positive correlation between fossil fuels usage and total global energy consumption. So this highlight the continued dependence on traditional energy sources despite the growth of renewable. And the last one is the forecasting reliability. Finally, the time series forecasting model developed in this study demonstrates reliable short-term predictive performance. This indicates that the model can serve as a useful tool for short-term energy planning and policy formulation. So these are 4 references that we have for this project. So that's all from us. Thank you.